Hello, friends. It's me. This is more of a podcasty kind of thing, because I'm your friend Moonhorse. I got my dander all up. I've got an anger. I've got the big angry. I've decided I'm going to discuss some personal experiences here. I'm gonna make a vlog, you guys. That's what this is. Except it's gonna be me saying fuck a lot too. Also, we're gonna talk about some of our favorite things. Degeneracy and furries, which some of you may say, hey, that's the same thing, and I'd say, you might be right. So because I'm, evil, and that's what I've been called for doing this sort of thing, I got my big black cape on. I'm dressed like a supervillain, because if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right, goddammit. And let's talk about fairness. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about our boy, Kero the Wolf. Oh yes, some of you might know these names, and if you don't look him up. Ugh. So, this is the man who was basically caught in a scandal with several other, shall we call them, influencers? Because I truly do hate that word. It's scummy as fuck. So these influences, yeah, they're big in the fur community, and I hate to say things like the fur community because there is a large contingent who fucking hates the rest of it, and honestly, I can't blame them. I really can't. Let's take a couple steps back and I'll give you my own position on this whole thing. So first off, I can actually do that pretty quickly. Kero the Wolf is a fucking degenerate. He's an animal rapist. And that's not me being facetious or insulting. No, he literally did that. Multiple times. Some of them are dead. So, that is a thing. And I'll probably get in trouble for saying these things. So this is really the crux of what I mean by a lot of this. Let me explain this to you. I say all these things about our boy, our arfing friend, our guy who talks about how much he enjoys fuck's booty. Yeah, he says it like that too. I don't know with that inflection, I just want to make sure it's really creepy. Just really drive that point home. Like a fucking nail gun. Really got to get it in there, you know what I'm saying? So, this boy, I would like to point out, this boy is still on many platforms. This one included. That's right. He is still on this platform. He still has a Patreon. Now, a while back, another person who was removed from YouTube, I don't feel it's unfair to talk about him. I don't agree with every single thing that he said, but this man who went by the name of Mr. Medicare did an entire thing, a whole series of streams and videos and everything, talking about all of these leaks and exposing that a lot of these people are absolutely fucking horrible. Mr. Medicare is no longer on Patreon, and he's no longer on YouTube, which does beg the question, what exactly did he do that was, worthy of this happening? He must have been really awful. Well, he said that they were bad people. That's all it takes. Yep. Which is the reason why I've said multiple times that I expect any day to get demonetized and yelled at by YouTube administrators for talking about how some people are naughty and gross and do bad things. That's not okay. You're not supposed to make fun of or talk about the people who are doing actual bad things. You're supposed to ignore that because they say nice things when they're around other people. But their actual, their true colors, if it pleases you, their true colors are horrible. But we don't talk about that. We ignore that. And it seems incredibly fitting that that's kind of the attitude, because to go to another one of our favorite people to talk about on this channel, we talk about our friend Onision. It seems incredibly fitting that this is the attitude that YouTube and other platforms have decided to take, seeing as Chris Hansen gets in trouble for saying words like predator and pedophile. I probably just got in trouble for saying those too. That'll get you in trouble on this platform. But if you're actually one of those people, well, hell, you can still have a channel. And we know that because a lot of them do. There are multiple cases of people who have basically been not only exposed as doing these horrible things, but in some cases convicted, proven that they in fact have done these horrible things and should not have access to a platform filled with people that they can manipulate, and still do. So basically, this isn't just me yelling at YouTube. This is me yelling at the entire failed system in general. This is, as I said, I'm the bad guy here, which is why I'm wearing the elaborate cloak. You can't see that, but it's there. And I'm fine with that. In fact, I went out and bought the cloak, so obviously I'm fine with it. I dressed for the part. Okay? But it does kind of... it burns within me to say these things, to really point out the hypocrisy of all this, to really point out the really awful, dreadful things here. And mostly I wanted to focus less on the whole Onion Boy thing, because you don't need me to talk about him. There are far more qualified people who can talk about him. Specifically, I'm referring to Chris Hansen and his golden voice. So, you don't need me to harp on that train. No, let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about how, the whole furry community is kind of a living trash fire right now. I mean, it has been for quite a while, but it's not without effort being tried. See, a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't see that there are people who have actually tried to be like, hey, don't do that. All of that you're doing, stop. Get some help. We don't hear about them because they are mostly and loudly downplayed and thrown out. See, we're talking about people who have now, at this particular stage of the game, been exposed to the information of Caro and his friends' horrible, horrible misdeeds, and still will demand that these are all fake, that he was hacked by Iranian super hackers. Yes, that's true. He did actually claim that his Telegram was hacked by Iranian super hackers. Except it wasn't. And that he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong! I don't know, man. I read those logs too. I looked at that stuff, and given what I know about certain areas, let's call it that. Let's use our gentle language. We're on YouTube now. We have to be nice. Break out the feather dusters. We didn't want to hurt anybody. Given what I know about certain communities within the whole realm of whatever the fuck you want to call furry these days, it does not surprise me that they exist. It fills me with an unbelievable urge to vomit uncontrollably for roughly 7 years. I think that's a good number. A nice, lucky number. And even then, I don't think that would be enough. You see, there's absolute depravity in large portions of this whole community, and I'm not talking about your kink, darling. There's a lot of people who will say that, like, you're kink shaming, Moonhorse. You should be ashamed. Well, first off, no, I'm not, because I think all of you people who reproduce sexually are fucking disgusting. But That's also, again, because I'm evil. Remember? So, I'll make fun of whatever the fuck I want. And no, I'm not drunk. I should be. But I'm not. I'm not talking about your kinks, though. I don't really give a fuck if you decide you want to dress up like a peacock and have somebody slap your ass while in the stockade. That really does not fucking sit with me. What sits with me is when some of you are trying to claim that it's just my kink. And it's like, it's not just your kink. You're quite literally talking about how attracted you are to 7-year-olds, you 30-year-old fucking pedophile. I'm gonna call you a pedophile. Because that's what you are, buddy. That's what that is. I have seen so much of this absolute fucking filth that it's just amazing. To go back to one of our favorite personal subjects on this channel, even though we really didn't talk about him in this video, so I don't know why I chose the word back. I guess I always feel like we're falling back down that particular rabbit hole. Our boy Nicholas. It is not because he has decided that all the furry ladies have to be his waifu that I chose to talk about him. In fact, I largely tend to ignore his rambling nonsense about his fantasy relationships with animated fox people. That's not really my interest. My interest is when his delusional behavior reaches a specific crescendo, where he feels it is necessary to go onto other sites, onto other message boards, onto other artists' page, and just shit all over it. Just absolutely fucking tear things up. To act like an unbelievable fucking cunt simply because someone else does not adhere to his very specific personal agenda. That is what got me the most interested. There's a lot of people who do really, really weird things. For example, I guess we could just go with the biggest one we all know, our friend Chris Chan. If all of Chris's stuff is just this whole thing of Sonichu, he draws a comic book, it's just his fantasy world, and that's all he does. He just, okay, that's fine. I think it's weird, but you know what? You ain't hurting nobody. I ain't got a problem with that. I'll ignore certain things to an extent, until it gets really fucking weird or really fucking hilarious, but mostly it's harmless. Even when I read terrible fan fiction and made fun of that, it's with a harmless kind of thought process. It's bad, but it's funny. And, I usually tend to just kind of, whatever these people do in their own time, it's not really my business. I found this thing funny. But the reason Chris Chan fascinates me is not the comic book, though the comics are kind of funny, and I did read those. It's the all-out fucking war that he came into with this whole all the trolls must die. That's where shit got interesting. It's when your ability to take criticism is so feeble that you start lashing out at fucking everybody and declaring goddamn death threats. That's when shit gets really fucking interesting to me. The furry community has been doing this particular thing for a very, very long time. There's a reason why, when I was much younger, the overall joke, I don't think it is so much these days, but the joke was there's no such thing as furries without drama. They simply must have it. They crave it. Every single follicle in their little hairy bodies is filled with it. Personally, I do believe that. I believe that the community is incredibly questionable. And their ability to be all-inclusive, while admirable in certain facets, is not really the best kind of thing to do. There's being inclusive, as in accepting your LGBTQIA allies. And then there's being inclusive, like letting in the literal animal rapers and pedophiles. Yeah, don't be that inclusive. That's not okay. And it's for this specific reason that a lot of you probably already knew this. As I had mentioned multiple times already in this podcast already, when I was much younger, I was kind of a member, I wouldn't say proud in any shape or form, of this whole little community. I was on their websites, I've seen their back rooms, I know all their little sordid secrets and histories or whatever. I wasn't what you would call popular, but I was there. And it was with these changes, these... how can I put it? These horrible, horrible little parts getting more and more brazen and bold because there were less and less members of the community willing to stand up, point at them, and go, get back in your fucking corner! These parts became more and more prevalent. And the more prevalent they became, the more uncomfortable I became. So eventually, I just had to leave this whole thing altogether. I am probably somebody's worst enemy. I am probably somebody's, I don't know, obsession. They probably just hate me, and that's whatever, fine. Again, I'm wearing the black cape. Supervillain status already established. It's totally fine. I accept that. I accept that because I've seen what you have become. And personally, if I ever fell back into that, I'd fucking die. I don't want to be a part of a community that shields someone like Karo the Wolf, or Sangi, or Snake Thing. I don't want to be a part of a community that says that they did nothing wrong when we're talking about literal pedophiles and animal rapists, okay? I don't fucking care what labels you want to put on it. Because there's a lot of little labels. I'm not actually that. I'm a map. That's a minor-attracted person. You're a fucking pedophile. And fuck you. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Okay? If you're going that far out of your way to put little labels on it and to try and include yourself into communities. They specifically, the pedophiles are doing this shit where they're trying to be like, well, we should be a part of the LGBT community because we're oppressed too. It's like, did you ever think that maybe you're oppressed for a really good fucking reason? Did you ever think that maybe that's a thing? They said all that horrible stuff about gay people. Hey, you know, one grown consenting adult man and another grown consenting adult man having sex don't fucking bother me, mainly because of those two specific words. Grown and consenting. Yeah. You ain't getting that. Because you're into fucking kids. You fucking degenerate piece of shit. And personally, I'd introduce you to the business end of a flamethrower, but I don't own one. Yet. So, this kind of thing is mostly frowned upon on several different websites. Certain image boards and certain websites, specifically within the furry community, do not tolerate this shit, and God bless them too. They tend to banish anybody who tends to try to post things like this or even lean in that direction, and they throw them right the fuck out the door. As well they should, because these are what we call people with fucking sense. However, you have other places that don't. I'm not going to name names because, well, if you're on this channel, you probably already know what they are. But they are pretty fucking awful. And I'm very sick of the... To bring this into a more personal thing for me, just for a second. It is my channel, after all. I'm sick of this whole thing of being told that, you know, it's like, you're not an ally of us. And it's like, I'm not an ally of you because I know who you ally with. I've seen the fucking friends you hang out with, buddy. Do you ever wonder maybe if that has something to do with it? Do you ever wonder if maybe Papa Moonhorse doesn't really want to hang out with you and your friends and go to Anthrocon mainly because your friend is really into fucking 12-year-old girls? Because that might be a fucking thing. that might end up with a bit of a problem. I also don't think that I should be exposed to any kind of conventions like that, because I get the distinct impression that there's an open bar and it'll end with me getting very drunk and chasing people around convention halls with a large blunt object, screaming, "Beat the filth out of them." I wouldn't put it past me. So, that's kind of the main problem. That's kind of the main thing that I have here. It's my major disconnect. I understand that there are other people who are still into the whole community, and you know what? As far as I know, you're okay. As long as you ain't like those fucking people. Fucking Caro and his pedophile animal rapist friends. I don't have a problem with you. I don't give a fuck. You want to dress up like a giant kangaroo and, get sexed on with a bear? Another person dressed as a bear, not an actual bear. Don't fuck actual bears. That would be really bad. I don't really fucking care. If you want to wear the costumes and do the thing, more power to you. You're consenting adults. Have fun. It's not really my fucking business. It's somebody's business. They make those suits. And from what I understand, they make a shitload of money doing that too. But it ain't my business. My business shows up whenever the absolute fucking horrible things start happening. So, speaking of absolutely fucking horrible things, let's talk about my favorite, hilariously offensive paradox. I'm going to say two words that don't really sound like they go together, and yet somehow they do. Furry Nazis. Yeah, that's a thing. I know, right? No, I am serious. That is absolutely a thing, and I've seen them around, and honestly, I can't really fathom their mentality. I find them more funny than anything. Mostly harmlessly pathetic and funny. Except for a few of them who did get actually arrested, I think, not too long ago, which, again, haha. But, this is just this whole thing of this inclusivity, this whole thing of their constant open door policy. I get it. You want to be inclusive. You want everybody to feel like they have a home, and that they should feel connected, and that they have a safe space, and that these things are what you're aiming for. Believe me, I know. I have my own community. I kind of lean in a lot of those same directions. We also have rules. Pretty strict rules. And a lot of those rules tend to weed out the really fucking horrible people. Granted, a lot of the really fucking horrible people probably don't listen to this show because... Hi, it's me. So, that tends to deter a lot of that. But, there are also rules. We cut off certain things and we don't allow certain things. And that's not to say that we're going to actively hate people or go out and try to get into fights with people or dogpile on some innocent person or anything like that. You have to have at least some kind of rule, man. Even if it's just your own. And at this point, it seems like the entire furry community has leaned into that. You're going to have to take everything into your own personal account. And if you see something really fucking bad, something obviously illegal, you're going to have to make the choice on whether or not to say anything. Because you can't count on the community to do that anymore. That used to be a thing. There used to be whole web rings and fur groups that were like, if we found somebody was doing something horrible, you'd report them. Nowadays, they don't. In fact, there are whole groups of them who shield each other. Which makes this whole thing even fucking harder to deal with. And that's kind of the reason I left. I left all that shit behind, threw all that stuff out, walked the fuck away, deleted accounts, cut ties, shut it all down. It takes a stronger person than me to sit there and sift through all that. To sit there and have to know that there are people like fucking Snake Thing and Sanky and Caro and their little motherfucking friends out there who've done the things that they do, who hang out on the same fucking websites, in the same pages, possibly in the same web rings and chat rooms that you've been in. I personally can't deal with that. I can't. And I'm also willing to admit that. It's a hard thing. Not everybody can. Not the admitting part, just dealing with it. There's a reason why you have to be, like, specially trained and all that kind of shit to join stuff like Special Forces or the CIA or whatever. You kind of have to be able to put up with a lot of really awful shit. I have a limit. Everybody does. My limits usually stop somewhere outside of the realm of literal fucking pedophiles, though, so, And, again, you're on this channel. You already know my stance on pedophiles. It's not a peaceful one. Let's put it that way. So what inspired all this rant of fucking nonsense, this whole thing of why I'm dressed this way? Aside from the fact that I do like the cape, it makes me feel special. Shut up. I kind of look like Stevie Nicks, but whatever. I was watching another wonderful YouTuber who does all this wonderful stuff, who goes into these crazy fucking things. Our wonderful friend Deadwing Dork. I don't actually know the man, but I love him. And I love the work he does. And it was him as well as other people that kind of started me in this whole direction of not just doing the neckbeard thing. Horrible, horrible shit exists all over the place. I got kind of forced into talking about the furry thing a while back whenever I had to read stories about Yifbeard. And yes, there are furry neckbeards, and yes, that's far more common than you think. And so that really kind of basically outed all my knowledge. I said not everything, but a large portion of the horrible, horrible shit that I knew, thanks to being parts of observing these whole things. Because you have to understand at this particular point, roughly before I left, but it's not exactly hard to do this now, at this particular point, it's not hard to find this level of horrible depravity. Because it's fucking everywhere. It's right in front of you. They don't hide. You don't need to master the dark web and be like a super hacker. You just have to basically understand how to use a website. It's there. They're that blazing. Or brazen. Whatever. Some people should be blazing. And not just in the fun way. But it's just right there in front of you. And that's kind of a problem. It really should not be that fucking easy to find shit like this. But it is. For fuck's sake. People had to literally tell repeatedly things to Reddit about the incel forums. They had to tell them over and fucking over that the entire thing was filled of people who were basically rather constantly talking about their plans for, like, genocide, rape, murder, slavery, just all kinds of really horrible fucking shit. And finally the message gets through, and their subreddit gets banned, and they make another one. So this kind of shit doesn't just go away because you took one action. This isn't one thing where you can slap at one time and be like, that's it, you're done, and never do that again. Because if people are really fucking dedicated to being this particular kind of awful, they're gonna keep coming back. Not so much some of Kara's friends. Some of them are in jail. Which makes me so very happy. It's right where they fucking belong. Not Caro, though. He's free. To, molest more animals, apparently. Not that he'll ever admit that. And I'm sure if he ever finds out about this video, I'll be called all kinds of horrible names, and it'll be said that you're just bashing the furries. You're just bitter and full of hate. I mean, yeah. It's me. But also, I'm not wrong. See, that's the difference. I may be bitter and full of hate. I may be a twisted, maniacal psychopath in a fashionable cape. I may be a psychotic weirdo who people will say is a fake fur because you have an animal avatar. I would rather be fake if it means that I don't have to hang out with you. Because I've seen what you guys have been doing. I know your groups. I know your cool kid activities after school. And I know that if I ever had to be around you while these cool kid activities are going on, the phrase disembowelment is something that comes up quite often. And I might even do it to myself, just to get the fuck away from us. So I'm fine with being the negative. I'm fine with being hated in this particular thing, because I already have my cool friends. They like this video. They like me. And they're cooler than your friends. So fuck you. And they like whenever I say shit like this. Because somebody fucking has to. This was supposed to be more of like a deep dive into things, and I was gonna like, hunt down screenshots and look up all this information, but then it occurred to me, I'm like the 90th person talking about this shit, so why the fuck do I need to? All that information is so fucking readily available that you don't even have to leave YouTube at this point. Though you might want to check out those videos kinda fast, because the YouTube thought police do tend to ban people who say the naughty words. I'm sure mine's coming any day now. I've said many naughty words. I'm a very bad boy. But before that fucking happens, maybe I'll earn my own little handmade YouTube button. Not from YouTube. I'm gonna make my own. I want an award for the worst. Just the worst. Nothing else. I feel I've earned it. Or maybe I haven't. Maybe I need to see more horrible things. Maybe this requires a little further introspection, as well as deeper dives. But I'm not going to go into the specific records or the screenshots or any of the things that have to do with this whole Zeus sadist thing, and yes, that is what it's called. Because nobody in their right mind needs to see that shit. I've seen it, and I'm fucked up because of it. Why do you think I'm an alcoholic? These people did this to me, and I will have my revenge. It's more fitting to say that while shaking a fist and wearing an oversized cloak. If you haven't done that, try it. It makes you feel powerful. You feel like Emperor Palpatine. Let your anger control you. Do it. I'm sorry, it's habit. You have to. But really, that's kind of what this whole video was about. It was just... I was watching this shit, felt I needed to say something. Apparently I had to say a lot of things. This video's like half an hour long. But, yeah. I know that that's a thing that I have fielded questions about a few times. The whole, but like, are you a furry? Like, no, I'm not. I've seen them at their brightest and at their worst. And it seems like the worst has won out. I'm gonna stay over here in my fucking bunker. I locked the doors. And if any of you fursuit wearing motherfuckers, Caros, Defenders, and all that shit want to come in, just keep in mind that the laser turrets are active. You better have a fucking hall pass. But the rest of you are welcome. We're having a party. I'm gonna get punch and pie and some pizza. Pizza pie. Want to split the pie? That was a stupid joke. I did it anyway. Whatever. But with all that being said, thank you for listening to me ramble for 30 minutes about how much I hate shit. I'll try to make more of these. This is actually kind of fun. Hopefully you like it. That's actually the big contingent of whether or not I make more, is if you actually like it. Yeah. I'm a professional. I'm doing super good. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye! Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and a special thanks to my Moonfriendios Babbsy-kun and Stony Inc. If you would like to send in your own story, you can send it to r/Moonhorse Stories, Or, if you would like to donate to my Patreon, you can do that. Please do. There's also a merch store if you want to buy anything there, and, well, honestly, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I love you all. I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, goodbye now. Bye!